It is WAVE 97.9 WHAV. In the studio is Dan Diodati. He's a candidate for Haverhill City Council, Ward 2. And Dan, good morning to you.
Good morning, Wynn. Thank you so much for having me today.
Pleasure to have you here. This is the first time we had a chance to meet.
It is, yes.
So,
it's exciting.
All right. So for these interviews, time's a little tight, so we ask you to keep the answers short. First one, simple question. How long have you lived in Haverhill?
Wynn, I've been in Haverhill my whole life. I was a boomerang a couple of times. I tried to leave, but I came back. But I'm a fourth generation Hillie, and I'm raising the fifth generation here.
And what's your day job?
My day job, I am the regional manager for Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. I manage 4 real estate offices in the Merrimack Valley. It's one of the larger operations in the area. I'm in control of the budgeting, the recruiting, retention, coaching, training, operations. I do it all. All these duties I feel like translate pretty well into a city council role.
Well, in a sentence or two, why do you want to serve on the city council?
It's my way of giving back to the community. Haverhill has been a place that has totally uplifted me in dark times. It saved my life. First responders in 2013 came to a call where I was hit by a car as a pedestrian. They put me back together. A lot of rehab, a lot of trying times in life. And when I started my career in real estate, it was the relationships that I fostered in this community that helped me move forward. And everyone has just been so great to me here. And with the skills that I have, I really feel like I can contribute. And I thought it was time to throw my hat in the ring. And the reason is civic engagement being so low. It was time for someone like myself to step up and try to make a difference.
There's a perception in some quarters that Haverhill is building too much housing, putting too much stress on water, sewer, schools, and public works. The other side argues the laws of supply and demand suggest building more units will eventually bring housing costs to more reasonable levels. And in a couple of sentences, who's correct?
I mean, I don't think it's perceived. I think it's true. How we've been going about our housing, working in the industry, I can tell you that the residential rentals, with the amount of units that we added and the strain that it does put on the infrastructure, is an issue and something that does need to be addressed. With that being said, I do think there could be a smarter way to develop residential housing if we really look at home ownership. Home ownership is super, super important in any community because of the way the tax base interacts, because of how mortgage payments are more fixed, so it ultimately can be more affordable. The reasons are many. We could have a whole podcast on just this topic alone.
Well, in any event, affordability of housing is a major issue in Haverhill, as it is across the country. And what can the city council do to promote more affordable housing? Sure.
Yeah. So I feel like what the city council could do is, Massachusetts adapted the accessory dwelling unit ordinance for residential properties throughout the state. I do feel like this is an awesome path to bring in generational housing so you can have multiple family members in a home. I think that we could be a little bit clearer as to what's expected of a homeowner to achieve something like this. Maybe simplify the path to achieve something like this, whether it be through grant money, something to promote projects like this. But on the whole, in addition to that, in affordable housing, coaching people on home ownership, the path to actually get there, utilizing funding that is out there for first-time buyers. I feel like there's a misconception that a lot of people assume that buying housing is unaffordable, and it's really not the case, or unattainable, excuse me. It's not the case. Through coaching and just understanding, it's really not a difficult process to go through. And, so between home ownership, development of new construction that is based on owner-occupant projects mixed in with ADU use, I think it's a great start. And things are in motion to do that. I just hope to help simplify things and make it a little bit better.
Well, looking to transparency, the death of Francis Gigliotti while in police custody and the death of Officer Caitlin Tully have left the public looking for answers, especially in light of changes at the top of the police department. Do you think the public has a right to know more, and how quickly, and what types of information do you think is properly withheld?
So both of these strategies, it's honestly just terrible that this happened, and it is a really rough time for the city. And I'm optimistic that at the end of the day, things will get better. Leadership is always most tested when things are at their worst, not necessarily when they're at their best. And I think that's we're seeing that with this. And as far as the messaging is concerned, I do feel like we have to be as transparent as we possibly can be with the public. Everyone has a right to know what they need to know or should know. The district attorney's office is doing a great job of investigating the situation, and I'm confident, that when they have a conclusion to that, that information will be released. But to answer your question better, I do think it would be nice, just to have a little bit more transparency in the process with how that is messaged to the public, whether it be through an actual press conference, not necessarily just vague social media posts, etc. If there's no news to report, then report that there's no news to report. It's the best way to put it.
And many residents complain about a sharp rise in property taxes, and keeping in mind such factors as inflation and voter-approved debt exclusions to pay for new schools. Do you believe, and you pick one, residential property taxes are too high, too low, or just right?
So I'm going to say too low. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm going to say that property taxes are too high. I need to correct that one right away. Too high, because mindset is everything to me. And I do think that we act upon our thoughts. And if as long as we are holding it in our heads that taxes are too high, we're going to work to keep them as low as possible.
All right. And one final question. Well, the City Council has little power to change city spending line items under Haverhill's strong mayor form of government. It can make cuts in almost any area. Assuming that there's no waste, fraud, or abuse, what specific departments, if any, would be your top candidates for cuts?
I don't think it would be fair to single out a single department for cuts. We kind of have to take the budget line by line and through an audit really understand where we are spending money, whether it be capital projects that could be either delayed or just come up with a better plan to allocate funds for things like that. Obviously, the last thing we really want to do is cut salaries. That's affecting people's lives, especially ones in the city. So that's a difficult question to answer without fully diving into the job. But I can say that it needs to be a little bit more blanketed. Everything needs to be taken line by line, and to pick on a single department just wouldn't be fair.
All right. And how can people find out more about your campaign?
People can find me on Facebook, Dan Diodati. You can look at my personal page. I keep my life very public. You can also look at my campaign page, Dan Diodati, candidate for Haverhill City Council. And I also do have a website, electdan.org.
All right. Well, Dan, thank you so much for joining me today.
All right. Thanks for having me, Win.
All right. Dan Diodati, a candidate for City Council in Haverhill, Ward 2. Our guest this morning here on The Wave, 97.9 WHAV. It is The Wave, 97.9 WHAV, and in the studio is Veronica Rodrigues. She is a candidate for Haverhill City Council Ward 2. And Veronica, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. If you can just slide a little bit closer to the microphone, that would be a good thing. I'd like to just ask a couple of questions, and the first question, the very simple one, is how long have you lived in Haverhill?
I was born in Haverhill, and I went to high school in New York, and then I came back and to raise a family. I have had two children that I raised here, so I've been here since 1995.
1995, okay. And do you have a day job?
Yes, I work for the Department of Children and Families in Lawrence.
All right. So in a sentence or two, why do you want to serve on the City Council?
I love Haverhill, first of all. And lately, it's been in the news for some of the wrong things. I don't think you can complain if you don't try to make a difference. So that's why I want to serve.
All right. There's a perception in some quarters that Haverhill's building too much housing, putting too much stress on water, sewers, schools, and public works. And the other side argues that the laws of supply and demand suggest building more units will eventually bring housing costs to more reasonable levels. In no more than just a few sentences, who's correct?
Maybe both of them a little bit. I think that we should fix the places that we have that are abandoned first. I think we need to get more creative because all that housing is going to bring a lot of traffic. It's going to bring other problems. So we need to maybe think outside of the box to help, because we do have a housing crisis. Haverhill's very unaffordable right now. My daughter has lived here her whole life and she got her first apartment and had to go to Lawrence to find a more affordable apartment. And that's not right. She was born here, and I'm sure she'd love to live here, but she's like, Mom, I can't afford it.
Well, that falls into the next question, affordability. Affordability of housing is a major issue in Haverhill, as it is across the country. So what can the city council do to promote more affordable housing?
Well, we do have a housing trust. There's no money in it. I think maybe if some of these new developments that are unedible, so I think that we should maybe make them pay into that so that we do have some funds so we can think of some projects that we can do for affordable housing.
Looking to transparency, the death of Francis Gigliotti while in police custody and the death of Officer Caitlin Tully have left the public looking for answers, especially in light of changes at the top of the police department. Do you think the public has a right to know more, and how quickly, and what types of information do you think is properly withheld?
I think they did a good job informing the public. They put it out there right away. I do think that out of respect for her family, their cause of death and those types of things should be kept private, just out of respect. I think they should be transparent. Like, the public is what put them in. We pay for their job, so we definitely need to know what's going on. We need to know where our money's being spent.
And many residents complained about a sharp rise in property taxes, keeping in mind such factors as inflation and voter-approved debt exclusions to pay for new schools. Do you believe, and you can pick one, residential property taxes are too high, too low, or about right?
When I'm paying them, I think they're too high. But when I compare them to other cities, they're not so high.
Okay. Well, all right. And the next question is, well, the city council has little power to change city spending line items under Haverhill's strong mayor form of government. It can make cuts in almost any area. And assuming that there's no waste, fraud, or abuse, what specific departments, if any, would be your top candidates for cuts?
I don't think any department needs cuts right now. If anything, I think some need more. Education needs more. With the free college, I think no one realized that there was going to be a big problem with professors having these huge classes, and they need to be paid accordingly. I'm not sure. I think that's something that I need to look more into, to be honest with you, to see, because I think all of our resources are needed. So I'm not really a fan of cuts.
All right. Now, how can somebody find out more information about you?
Oh, I have a website. Vote Veronica for Haverhill, and my email, veronicaforhaverhill@gmail.com.
Is that the number 4 or FOR?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, you'll find out. All right. Well, Veronica, thank you so much. All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure to have you here. Veronica Rodriguez, candidate for Ward 2, Haverhill City Council. Our guest this morning here on the WHAV, 97.9 WHAV.
Wake up with Wayne Damon weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on 97.9 FM WHAV.
Catch the wave, WHAV.